Hello everyone, my name is Jane and welcome to my November TBR. Oh my god, it's finally TBR time. And November is a very exciting month, as in November there is the PokemonAthon, which is the Pokemon themed readathon that I created. In case you don't know what this readathon is, I will link my announcement video in the video description so you can check it out. But yes, November is the month of the PokemonAthon. I'm excited more than usual, as I'm always excited about TBRs, but I just feel like I'm crazy excited right now. And I'm going also to participate in the Desertathon by Esme from Bookish Buddies. So I'm participating in 2 readathons in November, but both of them aren't full month readathons. So yes, there is a lot, and I'm just really excited to play my TBR game and to decide on my final November TBR. And before we get started, I just wanted to say that I am a mood reader. It means that all of the books that I will be choosing today are books that I will aim to read, but I will probably won't finish all of the TBR. For in the last couple of months, I'm really good in my TBRs. But yes, we're going to start with my TBR game, the TBR of colors, and then I'm going to show you my PokemonAthon TBR and then the Desertathon TBR. And before the TBR game, I want to mention 2 books that I know that I have to read in November. The first one is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin, and this is the second book in the 5th season trilogy. I'm reading it for our BrokenEarthAlong. We are starting to read the 5th season in October. I can't tell you what this book is about because it will be spoilers, and I still didn't read the 5th season because I'm pre-filming this video, so I do have a lot of time to read it. I just didn't go to it yet. So the first book that I have to read is The Obelisk Gate, and in addition I'm going to read The Wolf and the Woodsman by Everade. This is a fantasy historical standalone, and I'm reading it for the Enchanted book club, so hopefully I can squeeze one of them in my TBR game. So yes, let's start the TBR of colors. I have a new TBR card! Yes! So you don't know the story, but basically I bought a TBR card, honestly not a long time ago, but it was a pretty cheap TBR card, and the wheels broke pretty quick, and since then I have a TBR card without wheels. Like, I still used it, but it was really hard because I can't actually move it, and you know, books are heavy. Every time that I wanted to move the TBR card, it just took a lot of effort, and I really wanted a new TBR card and a normal one, not a cheap one that will actually hold all of my books. And I finally got a new TBR card, and it's green. It's just so beautiful. I'm so happy. It just feels so fancy to me because this is an actual really good TBR card, and yes, I'm just really excited. But yes, TBR of colors. So basically, if you are new to my channel, I'm spinning a wheel of colors 5 times, and every time that I get a color, I just need to pick a book that match this color, and it needs to be a good amount of the color on the book, not a little bit, fair amount. And I added a new rules last month that in the start I'm going to spin twice and mark 2 colors, and basically it means that if I will land on one of those 2 colors, I will need to spin a wheel of prompts like you can see, and then I need or to match the book that I'm picking for the current color to this prompt, or I need to pick another book with this prompt. It means that if I want to be able to match the prompt that I got with the colors that I got, I will have to add another book to my TBR. So I am spinning 5 times, but potentially it can be 7 books in the end, but I also cannot get any color, so it can go either way. Now the colors that I want to get the most are light blue and blue, because most of the books on my November TBR are with blue on the cover because of the PokemonAthon, and we will get to it. But I know my luck, and I will probably won't get this color at all. So yes, first of all, let's mark 2 colors. Green is the first color, and the second one is green again. I will spin again. Okay, so if I will land or on green or on purple, I will need to spin a prompt. So now we are actually starting the TBR game, and every time that I will land on the color, I will remove it. So yes, let's go. Start the first spin. Orange. This isn't good. I feel like every month I'm getting orange, and like, this is a hard color. It wasn't one of the colors that I hoped to get. And my TBR is very long, so I actually looked on my audiobook TBR, and I did found Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Did I plan to read this book in November? No, but I guess now I'm reading it because of the TBR game. And yes, you can see that all the cover is orange. This is the only orange book that I could find, and I'm going to read it in audiobook, so that's okay. Like, I would read it really fast. And yes, I have no idea what this book is about. Okay, so it looks like a second chance romance. A woman that works and then meets her first love or something like this. I just read a few books by Christina Lauren in the past. I like the writing. I just feel like this is a safe option. I removed orange. Next spin. it was almost purple, but not. So red is the second color. Okay, so red is good. I do have a book that I planned for red, and this is The Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lane. Like you can see, the book is red. She's wearing a red dress, and there is red around her. And this is a new release. I got it something like 2 months ago, and I'm actually really excited to get to it. This is an historical fiction, like you can probably guess, because basically here we're following a Chinese American that is going to the Titanic, and this is her story on the Titanic. And we all know that the Titanic sank in the end. I really love the Titanic movie. It's one of my most favorite movies, and I just love books about ships and the sea, and I'm really excited to get to it for a really long time. I really hope to love it. It looks so cool, and like I never read an historical fiction about the Titanic, so I'm really excited to get to it. Now let's do the fourth spin. Green. Okay, so this is a color that in marked. So now let's spin the prompt wheel. Okay. Was on my TBR before is basically a book that I already put on past TBRs and I didn't go to it. So I know that the book needs to be majority of the color, but so far I already got colors that I didn't plan for except red. So I'm going to squeeze it a little bit, and I'm going to choose Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. Now technically I already planned to read it, but I don't remember if it was officially on a TBR before, so I'm not going to count the prompt for this one, and hopefully the next books will actually fit this prompt. But yes, it isn't majority green, it's black, but all the things that aren't black are blue and green, and also the whole series, like this is the green book, all the letters here and in the spine are green, so I think I can count it. Like, just tell me if you feel like this is cheating and I will change the book. But yes, this is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I really love Daughter of Smoke and Bone. It's an urban fantasy that takes place in Prague. It was just so cool and unique, just really different from other fantasy books that I read. It was heavily around the romance, but I really vibed with the romance. It was just so fun, and like I was planning to read it for a while. I just was so busy this last month. Really want to get to it. It's pretty chunky, but yes, I'm really excited to get to it. Okay, so now it's the fourth color. Pink. Okay, that's not good. Like, so far, I'm getting everything except the colors that I actually need. Okay, so I looked and I do actually have a book with a lot of pink on it. And this book was also on a past TBR, so it works perfectly. And this is Go Serpent Thorn by Melissa Basharas. And this is a YA fantasy standalone. Now, like you can see, there is a lot of pink on the cover. And except it, I was planning to read it for the last round of the Desertathon. And I am planning to read it for this round because I just didn't got to it in the last Desertathon. And yes, this is basically Sleeping Beauty retelling, I think. It's supposed to be a Desert Wife book. The main character of the story has a poison touch or something like this. It just sounds really interesting to me, and I do have this on my TBR for so long. And yes, I was planning to read it this month, so it works perfectly for the TBR game. So yes, this is the fourth book. Okay, last spin. I don't think it will be one of the blues, but I hope so. So yes, let's go. Brown. Okay, brown it is. Okay, so brown is another color that I didn't plan for, but I have luck because I do have here in real life by Cory Doctorow and Jen Wang, and this is a graphic novel. Like you can see, half of the graphic novel is really brownish. So yes, I didn't plan for it, but it's a graphic novel, so I'm okay with it because it will be really fast to read. And I do have this graphic novel in TBR for a while, and I really want to get to it. And basically, in this graphic novel, we're following a girl that's playing a video game. So half of the graphic novel is in real life, but half of it is in the actual video game. I really love the illustration style. It just looks so cool. Really love it. I'm really excited to read it. And yes, I didn't plan for it, but it's a graphic novel and I do want to read it for a while, so that's a good timing to do it. So this is my final TBR of color. I have here 2 books that I didn't plan for. And yes, like I feel that my TBR game wasn't really good for me this month, but it happens. In the end, it works. And I also didn't add any books, so that's amazing. And yes, now let's get get to the PokemonAthon TBR. So my PokemonAthon TBR, I'm so excited to finally share it with you. But basically in the Pokemon, there is 3 different types of prompts. First one is the main prompts of the readathon, the gym badges. You don't have to complete everything, but I will try to read 1 book for every prompt. So 8 books in total. Except it, there is also the animal bonus prompt, which means that if you are reading books that are related to animals, or on the cover, in the title, in the setting, in the plot, just related to animals in any way, it will gain extra points. And also there is the team prompt. I'm in the water team. Basically it means that I will get bonus prompts if I will read books with blue on the cover, with a water related word in the title, or with a water setting in the plot itself. So I do have a good amount of water related books. I actually have also a good amount of animal related books. I wasn't planning for it, but apparently some of the books that have animals on it. So that's really cool. But yes, I'm really excited. So let's start, and I will go over the main prompts and show you what I'm planning to read for every one of them. So the first gym is the rock gym. I'm going to choose the first prompt, which is a heavy book. Now this is really open for interpretation. For me, heavy book means a big book, a book that is heavy. But actually someone in the Discord interpreted this prompt as a heavy book for a heavy topic, and I actually really love it. I'm going to choose a heavy book with the heavy topics on it for this prompt. And the book that I'm choosing is The Night Swim by Megan Goldin. Every time that I go on Goodreads to see reviews about this book, I just realized that all of the reviews say that this book is really heavy and it deals with a lot of heavy topics. I just saw the word heavy so many times in the reviews, so I thought that this is perfect for this prompt. And this is supposed to be a book with mixed media, because the main character of the story does a podcast and she's trying to release an innocent male from jail or something like this. I actually don't want to know too much. I just heard that the mixed media is really cool, and I heard amazing reviews about the audiobook. I will probably read it in the audiobook. I just love books with mixed media. It just makes it more fun and unique. So I really love those type of books. And it's going to count for all the 3 team prompts, because obviously the cover is blue. There is the word swim in the title, and swim, water related to each other. And the setting is supposed to be in the sea, near the sea. Just something about the sea. I know that it's definitely a water setting, so it also counts as the water setting. So this is amazing. Already the first book counts as 3 team prompts. For the second gym, the grass gym, I'm going to pick the prompts of flowers or nature on the cover. And for this I'm going to read Go, Serpent, Thorn. You already know I'm reading it for the Desertathon. There is a lot of flowers on the cover, so this is perfect. Except it also counts as the 1 animal prompt, because there is the word serpent in the title and you have serpent on the cover, so it definitely counts. And yes, I'm really excited to get to it. I love fantasy, and I do have a good amount of fantasy standalones that I just don't read. So I'm really excited to get to it. And the next gym is the fighting gym, and I'm going to pick the second prompt, the debut prompt. And for this I'm going to read The Wolf and the Woodsman by Everade. You know that I need to read it for the Enchanted book club. This is a debut, so that works perfectly. And it isn't water related, but there is blue on the cover, so it will count as 1 team prompt, which is amazing. And like you can see, there is the word wolf in the title, like a book with animal, 1 pole. So that's really good for me. So I will get also 1 team prompt and also the 1 animal prompt, which is also good. And then in the water gym, I'm going to pick the second prompt, the Just Keep Swimming continuous series, and I'm going to pick the Obelisk Gate for this one, because this is a second book in a series. I didn't start the first book yet, but I will start it because this is for a read-along. So I am continuing a series. Unfortunately, it doesn't fulfill any team prompts or the animal prompt, but it's okay. I will anyway read this book. So yes, this is for the water gym. The next gym is the ghost gym, and I'm going to pick the first prompt, paranormal or supernatural. And for this, I'm going to read Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno. I love Katrina Leno writing. She read one of my most favorite books that I read this year, Horrid. I love this book so much. I don't expect this book to be as good as Horrid. I know that this was one of her first books that she wrote, but I still really want to get to it. And this is a magical realism. We're following 2 sisters or something like this, and they are living in an island by the sea, and their family has magic in their fingers, but one of the sisters doesn't have magic. So this is a supernatural because they do have magic. It's supposed to be a very atmospheric book, and like you can see, there is blue on the cover, and also the setting counts as a water setting because it's supposed to be a lot around the sea. I know that water takes a big part in the story. I want to read it for so long. It's also pretty short. It's 250 pages, so like it's a short book that's really good. I'm really excited for it, and I'm really hoping to love it. And also with this book, I have overall 6 team prompts, which means that I'm going to evolve my Pokemon, because once you complete in 5 team prompts, you can evolve your Pokemon. So I am going to evolve Piplup through Primplup, which is really exciting, so that's amazing. And the next gym is the Steel Gym, and I'm going to pick the second prompt, the 5-star prediction. And for this, I'm going to read The Ones We Were Meant to Find by John He. Yes, this is a 5-star prediction. Unfortunately, I'm really bad in 5-star predictions. Usually books that I think that I'm going to really love, I don't love. I really hope it won't happen with this book because I do have really high expectations for it. And this basically a really interesting book because we are following 2 sisters. One of the sisters is living in an abandoned island and she have a robot as a friend, like something like this. And the other sister is living in a town, and this is a very sci-fi town with a lot of ecological systems and a lot of protecting the planet. Basically, it's supposed to be a sci-fi fantasy thriller mystery, like a lot of genres, and I heard really good things about this book. Just the whole story sounds really intriguing to me. Like I heard that this world is really amazing, and this is also a standalone, and it also counts as 2 team prompts. We have blue on the cover, yes, so most of the cover isn't blue, but any amount of blue counts, so definitely this counts. And the setting is a lot around water because one of the sisters is living in an abandoned island. The only thing she has around her is water. So yes, I'm really excited for this book. Like obviously it's a 5-star prediction, it's a new release, and I still didn't go to it, probably because it's a 5-star prediction and I'm just really afraid to be disappointment. But yes, the cover is so stunning and I'm really excited to get to it. The next gym is the Ice Gym, and I'm going to pick the second prompt, Sleep to Your Mind, basically a book that I forgot about. And for this, I'm going to read To Kill a Kingdom by Alexander Christo. Now the thing is that I already put this book on my TBR a lot of times in the past, and I always forget about it. Always. Like I put it on my TBR and I just forget that I put it on my TBR, and then I forget from this book. Although it sounds really cool. And basically this is a YA fantasy standalone. I think this is The Little Mermaid retelling, and we are following a mermaid that was kicked from her kingdom because something that she did, and basically she is getting a shelter with the prince of the world. He's a pirate, and this prince doesn't know that she is a mermaid, and I think that the mermaids and the pirates are in a war, so it's supposed to be enemies to lovers. I'm not sure. I heard really good things about this book. It sounds really good, and it also counts as 2 team points because 1, the cover is blue, and 2, all the book is around water because it will be with pirates and mermaids. Like obviously it's around water. And this is also counts as the animal prompt because if you look on the cover, you have an octopus on the cover. An animal on the cover counts as the animal prompt. So I do get a lot of bonus points with this book, which is amazing. And with this book, I do have finally 10 team prompts, which means that I'm evolving my Primplup for Empoleon, which is the last evolution of Piplup. So I'm evolving my Pokemon until the end, which is really amazing. So yes, this is the 7th book. And the last book for the last gym, the Electric Gym, I'm going to pick the ebook or audiobook. And for this, I'm going to listen to an audiobook. And this is going to be The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is actually a book that I think that I won't like. The actual reason that I'm reading this book is for a video. I know that everyone loved this book. I just don't really think that I would love it. But we are following some kind of a guy that is going to a house with strange children, that those children have magic or something like this. It's just a book that so many people love, so I do hope to be wrong and to love it, but honestly I don't think that I will love it. And it counts as the all 3 team prompts because we have blue on the cover, the word sea in the title, and this house is supposed to be on a hill near the sea, like you can see on the cover, so it's supposed also to count as the setting, which is really amazing. Yes, this is the final book for the main prompts. Now obviously I also can count Luck of the Titanic also as the team prompts because you have blue on the cover. Yes, not a lot, but it still counts. All the setting is on a ship in the sea, so obviously also the setting counts. I can count Days of Blood and Starlight as a blue cover, and it actually also can count as the animal prompt because in the first book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, basically the main character of the story was raised by a weird family, and her family are half humans, half animals. So all the fantasy in this story is around those creatures that are half humans, half animals. So the setting and the whole fantasy element is around animals, so I can definitely count it as the animal prompt. And in real life, graphic novel that I didn't plan to read, it actually has a lot of blue here, like light blue, but it's still blue, so I can't count count it as anything else, but it will count as one team prompt, so that's already good. So yes, this was actually the PokemonAthon TBR. I am planning to finish all of the main prompts, the gym badges, but like you saw, most of my books are pretty water themed. Like, I'm really good with setting books that are fitting for the water theme. I just really love books that are set around water, so I feel like the water theme is perfect for me. So yes, I'm so excited to read all of those. Again, I am a mood reader, so I'm pretty sure that I won't read all of those books, but those are the books that I'm aiming to read, and I do have a lot of water related books, so hopefully if I won't read those ones, I do have a lot of other books that I can count as the team prompts. Just overall, I am aiming to finish all of the main prompts, also if it won't be with those exact books. But yes, let's get to my Desertathon TBR, because I do have more books for this TBR. So the Desertathon is a Desert 5 books readathon created by Esme from Bookish Buddies. I'm not sure how long the readathon is, I think 2 weeks. I'm not sure. I will link all of the details and Esme announcement in the video description. You can check it out if you want to participate. It's already my second time that I'm participating in the Desertathon. Esme just doing it so much fun, and I really love her prompts, and I'm just really excited for it. And basically there is 5 prompts for the Desertathon. I know that Esme is going to release, I think, 2 more prompts in the actual Desertathon or something like this, but I'm going to plan for those 5 prompts. Now I do have 2 main books that are Desert 5 books I really want to get to. The rest of the books aren't desert vibe, they are more water related, and those are just books for my actual TBR, the books that you already saw. But the 2 Desert 5 books are books that I planned to read in my previous Desertathon TBR. I did read half of my TBR back then, but I do have 2 books left I still really want to read. The first one you already know is Go Serpent Fawn, and I'm going to read it for the magic prompt because the main character of the story, she has magic, but poison magic, something like this, but it's supposed to be around magic. I'm going to count it for this prompt. And the second book that I'm planning to read is Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Young. This is the second book in the Girls of Paper and Fire trilogy. The 4th book is just going to be released, I think, in November actually, and I read the first book, Girls of Paper and Fire, in the last Desertathon, so this is pretty cool that I read the first one in the Desertathon, and I am continuing the series also in the Desertathon. I was planning to binge read it and to read it right after the first one, but I didn't do it, so this is my chance to read the second one, and I'm really excited for it. I'm not going to tell you anything about the second one because it will do spoilers. This is an Asian inspired fantasy world. It's a desert vibe, and this is a hard book with hard topics, a lot of trigger warnings, as the main character of the story is one of the girls that are chosen to serve the king. So this is like a hard series, but I really enjoyed the first book. It wasn't one of my most favorite fantasy books that I read. I'm not sure what to think about this one and if I will like it or not. I really hope to love it. And yes, I'm going to read it for the main prompt, the desert read, because the whole story and the whole world are in desert setting. And I also can count it as the one bonus color prompt because the color is purple and blue, so that definitely counts. And also I can count it as the animal prompt because in this world there is humans and demons, and the demons are all full animals or half animals. So the whole magic system is around demons that are animals. So I can definitely count it as the animal prompt. And for the red cover, I'm planning to read The Luck of the Titanic because obviously it's red. For the journey, I'm going to read The Wolf and the Woodsman because the main character is supposed to do some kind of journey or something like this. So yes, this is for the journey. And for the cozy read, I'm going to read The House in the Cerulean Sea because everyone say that this book is really cozy. So overall, out of the 5 books, 2 of them are Desert 5 books. I feel like this is a really good achievement for me. So I'm really excited to get to it. The Desertathon is always so much fun. And again, all of the details will be in the video description. So check it out if you want also to participate. Are you ready for it? Because this is my TBR for November. So many books, like how can I read everything? And also like most of them are for the PokemonAthon, which is only 18 days, less than 3 weeks. So yes, do I think that I will complete everything? No, I actually don't think so. Now the books that I got from the TBR game, I don't have to read in the PokemonAthon. I can read them in the end of the month. So that's okay. For me, the most important are the main prompts and the 2 books that I have to read. So also if I won't get to everything in the PokemonAthon, I still can read it after the PokemonAthon. I will just try to read the 2 books for the Desertathon and a lot of water related books. I just really want to read all of those. Again, I'm a mood reader. Maybe I will read books not even on my TBR, but I will try to read mostly on my TBR because like you can see my TBR is very long. And again, if I want to read those specific books, I am aiming to read at least 8 books for the 8 main prompts, and hopefully most of them will be water related. Yes, I'm just so excited about the PokemonAthon and about the Desertathon. Like honestly, November will be so amazing. I really can't wait for November to actually start. I'm just so excited about all of those books. And yes, thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, all the readathon details will be in the video description. You can join any of the readathons if they're interesting to you. I'm just so excited about November, and I hope that all of us will have a really good reading month. And yes, until my next video, you can check more videos by me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone!